Ambulances and choppers are on standby. A green corridor is ready. We have now entered, ladies and gentlemen, the last lap of the tunnel rescue in Uttarkashi. How long before the first of the 41 workers is pulled out is still a million-dollar question. It could happen anytime late tonight. It has been 17 days of hell and hope that has seen a Himalayan effort to rescue the 41 trapped workers. We just have a few more hours to go. 41 ambulances, doctors, Chinook helicopters are on standby. A nation is watching and praying. NDRF teams are in the tunnel. Families have come with fresh clothes. All fingers now crossed. When machines failed, hands helped. In a breakthrough, rescue teams successfully penetrated the debris and laid pipes to evacuate the trapped workers. Rat-hole miners from Uttar Pradesh, working in tandem with the army, are manually drilling through the remaining 2 meters of rubble. Rescue time for each worker could be between 3 and 5 minutes, with gaps for contingencies, and when they come out, that is what they go to. That's the ambulances and medical services waiting for them. This means roughly 4 hours from the time the first worker is actually brought out. Let's shift our focus, stay with the story, and get you visuals of the Chinook helicopter that is waiting at a nearby airstrip. As soon as these workers are pulled out, if someone requires that sort of medical care, they will be airlifted to the nearest biggest hospital in Dehradun. Now, let's try and see if we can get live visuals from the tunnel rescue site, which is pregnant with anticipation. As you can imagine, evening has fallen. These are live pictures that are coming to us. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami continues to be present at the site. Families of trapped workers are there as well. Now, this is a rescue effort that has seen various setbacks over the last 17 days and an equal amount of success. From establishing contact and supplying food, oxygen and medicines to getting those first visuals of the trapped workers, every little breakthrough instilled more hope. The setbacks in the form of machines failing were quickly overcome and human hands reigned supreme. From the NDRF to the SDRF and the ONGC to the Indian Army to the Indian Air Force, the BRO. Efforts of over 10 agencies over the last 17 days has brought us to this very point. Trapped in the depth of darkness, it takes more than just hope to remain strong and defy death. Now, there are a handful of instances where people have been rescued after weeks of being trapped underground. In the longest ever rescue operation till date, 33 miners were rescued from a copper gold mine in Chile after 69 days. This happened in 2010. It talks to us about human endurance. 69 days, ladies and gentlemen. That's almost 3 months. Then you also had the 12 children and their football coach who spent 18 days in a water-filled cave in Thailand before being rescued in 2018. That was 18 days. The Uttarkashi Tunnel rescue is currently sitting in the 3rd spot in the list of the longest rescue operations. We are 17 days and we are counting. Let me go across to my guests who are joining me this evening. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai is chairperson of the Nephron Clinic. Dr. Neena Khanna is a disaster management consultant, both of them joining us on the broadcast. Dr. Neena Khanna, I want to come to you first. We understand that we are in the final laps. Ever since the press conference by the rescue team this afternoon, there has been an almost breathless commentary about how the rescue and the pullout is going to happen any moment, any second. It is far tougher than that, isn't it? When we talk about being in the last lap, what does it mean? Dr. Neena Khanna, can you give me a minute? Dr. Bagai, can you give me a minute? Because I do believe that we have Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain, who's a member of the NDMA, who's joining us on the broadcast. He's someone who's been regularly joining us here on Mirror Now and someone who's been regularly briefing the nation, accurately may I add, about what exactly is happening on the ground. General Hasnain, thank you very much for once again being with us here on Mirror Now. First things first, is it a good time and a good day to ask you by when we will see these rescue operations get over and the first visuals of the first of the 41 workers being pulled out, because we've been given hope today.
Thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me at this time. I was very hopeful this evening at 4 o'clock to at the National Media Conference to actually give good news. But I was disappointed myself at that particular time, because I have followed this principle that until the 41st person has come out, I'm not concerned about the first person coming out. I'm concerned about the 41st person coming out. Only then will I say, yes, it's a success, and then I will rest. So at this moment, I can just say that we have made good progress since yesterday. 10 meters of manual effort is not a joke. The so-called rat miners, very demeaning term it may sound to people, but they are people who are hugely talented. They have put their lives to risk, their lives on the line. They've gone in with the other team members with them, the army people, the NSDICL people with them. They've dug through, they've removed a lot of metallic objects, and they've reached approximately, we are saying, 2 meters from an opening, a potential opening to the workers. We are hearing sounds. They are told by the workers from the other side on telephone that they are hearing sounds of the boring going on, which seems to indicate that we are nearing success. But as I said, in this operation, this kind of an operation, the last 1 meter can also disappoint you. So therefore, I do not want to sound a bugle at this time.
You don't want to sound a bugle at this point of time, and I do not want to push you, because what you have been telling us for the last 17 days has been actually the wise thing to tell the nation, that look, wait, don't push the rescuers. This is a very delicate task at hand. But can I today take the liberty of asking you whether you think the last miner will be pulled out, say, by midnight tonight, possibly early tomorrow morning? Is that a possibility? Is that looking like a real possibility?
Yes, Shreya, there's a thing called the military appreciation. I will do that for you. A military appreciation tells me at this time, the last 2 meters, I've been waiting for the good news for the last about 1.5 hours. It should take an hour or 2 hours, I hope, not more than that. Once that has happened, there has to be a proving of this tunnel. It has to be stabilized. They have to push through a last segment to make sure at the other end there is enough space and the thing is stabilized properly, people can clamber onto it, and then afford this whole opportunity of starting the procedure of getting them out. Now, the procedure itself only estimated 3 to 5 minutes per person. That is if there's no other obstacle which comes in the way. But there could be, for example, a stretcher could have its wheels come off, a stretcher could get stuck inside, a possible or a disalignment of one of the pipes if a potential bit of welding breaks, anything like that can happen. So I'm saying 3 to 5 minutes, let's take it an average of about 4 hours will be required to pull out 41 workers. It would take the outer limit to be 6 hours, 8 hours. So therefore, if this effort starts at night, and night is a challenging time to do it. It's a challenging time to do it. I hope by the morning we should have good news, unless there is another contingency which builds up. We are catering for everything outside. The whole medical setup is there. There's a triage system, prioritization. There is a 10-bed hospital. There are paramedics on the spot who will probably go inside also. There is a 30-bed hospital at the airfield. Then there's All India Institute of Medical Sciences. There is a Chinook helicopter standing by. Should this thing be done in the morning, then all of them can be probably evacuated at the same time. So there is a tremendous effort which is going into this. Everyone is anticipating. Right from the Honorable Prime Minister downwards, everyone is passing the right directions, the right decisions. And this is, as I said many times before, every government department is playing its role appropriately under top leadership.
Okay. General Hasnain, I'm glad you say that. So we are estimating at least 4 to 6 hours. But even in the last 1 meter, you say you could meet with an obstacle. Who knows? Who knows really? I think rescue teams on the ground have learned a lot via this operation that has been carried out. This is an Himalayan effort. You know, when we look back to this day, General Hasnain, we will look back at it as a Himalayan rescue effort, one that ends successfully. We are keeping our fingers crossed. General Hasnain, can you tell my viewers what is happening right now? Because, you know, ever since the rescue team held that press conference in the afternoon, expressing the optimism and the hope that things could be over by 5 p.m. this evening, there has been almost breathless commentary about how the rescue could happen anytime now, how the first worker could be pulled out anytime now. I want to ask you, while we wait for that to happen, and we hope that happen, there is caution required. I want to ask you what is happening on the ground right now as we speak.
At the moment on the ground, Shreya, there's the last effort to push the pipe, the last 700 millimeter. I'm not sure if it's the 700 or whether it is the 800 millimeter pipe which is being pushed across. While the manual effort was on, we came across some more obstacles which were not very serious, but subsequently a pipe was protruding, which would have caused a major problem for movement of the stretchers, etc. So the pipe had to be cut with the metallic cutters. That I've been told that pipe has been cut, and the final push was being made a short while ago when I took an update. I hope that very soon that would have materialized. And then, as I said, the stabilization process, a little bit of stabilization process. We do not want the tunnel to get upset, you know, destabilized in any way. And then the people are going to go inside, the initial NDRF people, personnel. I think there are 3 teams of 3 people each who are going inside. And then there were one or two paramedics who will go there. They will probably create an organization inside, do a little prioritization based upon an initial medical right inside for those people who may be a little unwell, push them out first, earlier, and subsequently be the last to come out along with the leaders who have sort of taken control of the situation all this time. So all this is being worked out at this time, and lots of things are taking place at the mouth of the tunnel where, you know, the medical facilities, the emphasis is on the medical facilities at the moment.
All right. General Hasnain, we leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much. We are all hoping that the day ends on a happy note, but even if it doesn't, the fact is success, we are very near to success. Let's wait for it. It will come. If it doesn't come tonight, it will come tomorrow morning, if not tomorrow afternoon, but it will come. We leave it there for the moment. General Hasnain, thank you very much for joining us here on Mirror Now.
Thank you very much for the patience you have shown all this time, Shreya. It's been a wonderful thing, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let me go across to Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, who joins us on the broadcast as well. Dr. Neena Khanna is a disaster management consultant with us on the broadcast as well. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, I want to ask you, look, the fact is, and we've just put it out for our viewers, and I think maybe we should put out that graphic once again for our viewers, about how this is not the longest duration for which humans have been, say, in a cave or in a mine. In Chile in 2010, 69 days is how long it took to rescue 33 Indian miners. So that was number one. Then we had the Thai rescue as well. That itself had taken 18 days. We are, of course, 17 days and counting. So it does say something about human endurance. But I want to ask you what the biggest medical challenge will be, Dr. Bagai, when these 41 men are coming out. They have been inside this enclosed space. Yes, there have been 41 of them, but they have been inside an enclosed space. Yes, there is oxygen. Yes, there is light, but it can't be easy to hope every day that today is the day when you will walk out and see the sun and then end the day with disappointment. What is the biggest medical challenge you anticipate that we could be faced with?
Good evening, Shreya. I think this has been a story of human endurance, of resilience, and also of the entire management team which is on ground, not to give up hope and make sure that each and every one of the 41 people not only are safe inside, but will be safe outside. I think breaking it down, you need a structural stability of the tunnel through which they will be brought out. You need a very, very quick triage to make sure that they are hemodynamically, that means from a circulation point of view, blood pressure and vitals point of view, pulse rate point of view, are stable and requiring oxygen or requiring any other respiratory support. And then shifting them to a hospital where more detailed evaluation and tests would be done, basically to check for electrolyte dysfunction, protein loss, because they would have been without adequate food, water, and nutrients for 2.5 weeks or so. There is also a huge impact on them psychologically, because inside they would have gone through different phases of uncertainty, of fear, fear of death, fear of injury, fear for their colleagues, for their loves and near and dear ones. So there's a lot of psychological impact on them. There's a lot of stress hormones which are released in these kind of situations, such as cortisol and things which make you panic, give you anxiety, give you hypertension. Also, what is the physical condition of these workers before they went in? So if they had some ongoing comorbid conditions for which they were on medication and so on, so all is going to have an impact. But I think this would take a while more before they come out. Few days, maybe 3 or 4 days, give or take couple of days in the hospital. But long-term mental, psychological rehab is important to make sure that they don't have the episode of post-traumatic stress disorder. This is extremely common in people who are in isolation or alone, deep waters, deep ground. So I think we pray for each and every one of them, and want to pay my regards to each and every one of the workers who are on the ground to ensure that the safety of these 41 is kept intact.
Dr. Neena Khanna, Dr. Bagai is absolutely correct. This has been a national effort. This has been the effort of 10 national agencies coming together and improvising every day to get to this point. And yes, you know, success is not here right now, but it could come anytime. It's just about 2 meters away. But Dr. Neena Khanna, I want to ask you how you would characterize the entire rescue effort that we have seen in the last 17 days. I know that disaster management agencies who are currently on the ground, the Army, the Air Force, everyone, this has been such a learning process for everyone, Dr. Khanna.
Thanks for having me on the show. What you say is this has been trial and error. I would put it like this: had they done it earlier, drilling out manually, it would have been better. Each and every agency which has come and put its best into it has already failed. But yet still, one can't positively think that it's not going to happen. It will happen. People will be rescued, but I really do not know how much. Well, these have been very young mountains, and Uttarakhand has been one of those which has faced all these calamities. One has to understand this part. And here what happens is that geological study and AIA have been very, very important. When we think of these mountains, they are not very strong as such. They are young, and it's not solid rock everywhere. They are porous also at some places, and that's what has created havoc out here. And what happened here is that the NDRF, of course, there's no dearth of money here in our country, and NDRF, SDRF, border security forces, everybody has been, border roads have been all working combinedly on this effort. But I also fail to understand, and I fail to understand here, is that they drilled a pipe through which they gave them food and everything. Why couldn't they get this very idea to do this challenging task earlier? To drill a pipe and get them out as they were supplying them food. If they did this to a smaller pipe to get them to eat whatever was there, I wonder how many would have eaten and how many would have thrown up there, and in which condition the entire area would have been.
Okay.
Because 17 days is very long to happen in such a cave-like situation. And then when there is a lot of rain, there is a lot of rain out there also. And when the rain happens, the soil becomes more loose there. And whatever they try to do with the tunnel or cement it from inside, it's been all, that's the main reason that it's come up all in this manner. And of course, we are all wishing and we are all hoping.
Dr. Khanna, essentially what you're saying is
They have been
Dr.
in
Khanna, what
constant
essentially you're
touch.
saying is that what we've seen in the last 17 days is trial and error. That,
Yes,
whatever plans, initial plans were there, failed as soon as you put them in action. And
very
every
true.
time you came up with a new plan, there was a new obstacle which you overcame. But Dr. Khanna, are we being a little harsh on our agencies, given the fact that this is probably the first time they are conducting a rescue operation that is this challenging?
I'm not telling you that it's been very harsh or something like that. Sometimes it happens that this has never happened earlier, and they're not trained for this. We do a lot of mock drills, which are there, but these mock drills, what happens is that the development in hills are not. You can't equate them to the development of in plain areas. They are certainly very different. So one has to think about this also. And then when we have this trained manpower and machines, everybody is trying their best. But you can see that at each and every phase, they need to have more AI technologies attached to this. I don't think just plain machines or things can work out like this. And they need to study the hills more before they
Okay.
get into this tunneling and
Yeah, that's
dam
true.
work and many other aspects which are happening in the hills these days. Why? Because it's not only the people who
Security.
are affected inside the tunnel right now, it's the families who are also affected. But one good point that these people have done is they have kept them in constant touch with their families. So at least these families have that little hope that they are alive, and they know that they'll come out. And they've been in touch. They've had all
All
this.
right.
The food has also reached them up.
No,
And of
I
course,
think you make a valid point. You make a valid point, Dr. Khanna, when you say uh, that tunneling is a very delicate, risky business, especially in the mountains, which are as young as the Himalayas. So was an environment assessment done before there was tunneling for this all-weather Char Dham Yatra? Because there are questions now being raised about the Char Dham, the all-weather Char Dham roads as well, the highways as well. That if this is supposed to be all-weather, if it is supposed to be foolproof, if it is supposed to be open throughout the year, uh, look at what has happened to the tunnel. In fact, all 29 tunnels under construction in the country right now, Dr. Neena Khanna, there's a security audit being done. So the lesson then is not just for the disaster management teams that are on the ground right now, trying to pull out these 41 workers alive. The lesson is also to the powers that are commissioning work in the hills without an environment assessment. We've seen what we have seen. Thankfully, by the end of tonight or by tomorrow, we will have a happy ending. All 41 will be pulled out. But what have we done to ensure that something like this doesn't happen in the next tunnel down the road? Have we done anything? Not so far. We leave it there for the moment. Dr. Neena Khanna, thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Bagai, thank you very much for joining us as well. On that note, I'm slipping into a quick break on the show. My colleague Deepak Bopanna joining us from Bangalore next with all the day's stories from down south. Do stay with us.